Hello, everybody. Welcome to Outwatch, a Survivor Rewatch podcast where we are going through past seasons of Survivor an episode at a time, rewatching them and reacting to the strategy, the story, and all the fixins an episode at a time. You've caught us in episode 5 of Survivor Pearl Island, the 7th season. And that episode is titled Everyone's Hero. We are going to be talking about the big moments of that episode and going deep on what happened. And I'm here with a few of my friends who may or may not be loaded right now. It's
the only way I get through this show,
if you
Alex.
Don't know, if you don't know what we're talking about, watch last episode and listen to Outwatch, and then you will. Scott, how's it going? How loaded are you?
Yo, what up, pimps?
Damn it, Scott. There are two of us have to go after you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not loaded at all. It's the sad part.
Oh, this great. Scott's pretty loaded, it seems.
I'm not. That's the sad part.
Loaded on Survivor.
Oh.
Emily, how loaded are you?
I just ate an Oreo, so I'm just riding that sugar high. I'm glad to be here.
Yes. Adam, same question.
I'm drinking a lovely Sangiovese from the Italian region of somewhere.
Probably, is that the region?
Is Sangiovese the region? I thought that was the grape varietal. I could be wrong.
We are very adept at wine.
It's a 2016, if I'm not mistaken. It's a lovely wine.
Impossible.
It's a great year. Great year for wine.
Oh, I forgot it's on 3. It's a It's a 1997.
Wow. Sorry.
6 years old.
Good year for grapes. I've had a glass, so I'm feeling pretty saucy.
Well, I myself just got myself a bottle of New Belgium Voodoo Ranger.
That's a good beer.
And have drank about a third of it. So you could say I am loaded.
Guys, I have a wine cooler right now, so I'm pretty loaded.
I'm drinking a Bud Light Lime-A-Rita, and it's delicious.
Don't even say those words. You're giving me PTSD.
Why did we have so many of those in the apartment at one time?
Because of Emily and her friends. You were the reason.
My friends, not Emily. Emily doesn't drink those.
That was
right, and that's why we had so many of them.
Every 3 months, we'd be like, these weren't as bad as we thought they were, right? And they were as bad as we thought they were every single time.
Very bad. So, welcome to Outwatch, our alcohol review podcast. Apparently.
Come for the Survivor. Stay for the talk about alcohol.
The SpongeBob references
That's right.
and the alcohol.
Such millennials. Well, the real reason we're here is to talk about Survivor. Episode 5 of Pearl Islands particularly. We're going to start by checking out the tree mail and walking through what happened this episode, and then we'll go deep. So, we start, of course, at the Drake tribe post-voting out Burton. We find out that John swayed Sean to cast his vote on Burton, leaving Michelle as the only one who didn't vote for Burton. We then move to the Morgan tribe where Rupert is doing yeoman's work. He helps them move their shelter. But in the meantime, Trish, back at Drake, is worried that Rupert is maybe talking too much. Again, meantime, this is a real back and forth beginning. Rupert's catching fish, helping them move their shelter, really doing some great stuff for Morgan tribe. At the reward challenge, Morgan with Rupert wins. They get some water stuff like a shower and things like that. And another piece of their map, which it seems as though they're making no effort to utilize in any way. And so after the reward victory, Rupert, rather than indulging in the reward, instead chooses to go back to Drake and not be showered with his Morgan counterparts. Savage comes over to loot from Drake. They're low on rice, so he takes some rice. Rupert, being a good guy that he is, hooks him up with a little extra. And then we have the classic Survivor challenge for immunity, the gross seafood smoothies challenge. I, for one, am glad that we don't really do these anymore. And so then it turns out that Morgan wins that one too, due to a clutch performance by Dara. I still don't know how to pronounce it correctly.
I don't think she knows how to pronounce it correctly.
Yeah. Also, Jeff pronounces Sandra's name differently every time he says it.
Really?
Sometimes it's Sandra, sometimes it's Sandra, sometimes it's Sundra. Listen next time. It's really bad.
I don't think I've caught that.
Well, listen for it next time.
I will.
Then you won't be able to unhear it. After the immunity challenge, Drake is contemplating where to go. It looks to be between Sean and Michelle. And ultimately, it turns out Michelle is voted out and becomes the second person voted out of Drake, the fifth person voted out overall, and the first person voted out of Tribe Emily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Leaving Adam with the only fully intact tribe.
That's right.
I like to crush
Emily,
a lot.
going into Tribal, were you pretty worried for Michelle, or were you thinking it might be Sean?
Who voted for Michelle?
Pretty much everyone.
I believe everyone.
Everyone did. Yeah,
Let me pull up everyone except Michelle.
Yeah, honestly, I figured, I had a feeling that she was probably going to be going just because they had voted out Burton last week, and I would be really surprised if then they voted out Sean right after that. They didn't make a lot of smart choices last week, and surely they wouldn't continue those into this week. Obviously, not that Michelle was the right choice because she's on my team, but...
Respect the game,
Yeah.
That's right. I wish we got more from Michelle this whole season. She was pretty invisible the whole time, and she seemed really fun and interesting.
But what did you study, Michelle?
Her highlight was...
What are you studying?
Yeah, we didn't even know.
Where you go to school? I don't know.
Yeah. What you learning, though?
Yeah, exactly. Also, how did you get to take this? What, are you taking a semester off? I really thought about that. I was like, so now what do? Do you go back to school? What day? What month is it?
Yeah.
The important questions.
Yeah.
I care
about my team. The highlight of her game was being dangled over the ocean by Rupert.
Oh, yes.
TBT.
Which I remember at that point in our podcast, we were talking about how Dara was not a very strong player. And I think she's really proving to be a stronger player than we thought.
Yeah, she came up.
I think you're right in that assessment.
She came up big this week.
Yeah, I think she's just kind of finding her footing in the game. I think I don't know. She's more she's got a win under her belt. She's more yeah, I want to be here. I want to play. I was just gonna say that was the big reason I felt like we didn't think that Dara was. That's how we're gonna say it from now on.
Dara.
That's fine.
What was really wanting to be there because Lily. Is that her name? Lily? Lil.
Lillian, yeah.
Or was it Tawana? Tawana told her that they might vote her out, and she just was like, okay.
Yeah, she seemed so apathetic.
So I think we're just seeing her being more pathetic, you know?
You got rid of the
That's good.
and apathetic.
Yeah.
Good job.
Gotcha.
And I used the word correctly is what I did.
I was
Fun fact.
figuring out where you got it. Thank you, nerd.
Good job, Adam.
Keep going.
Thank you. English is my first language. I speak it sometimes.
I rolled
We
my
also
eyes.
with Dara this episode, we got some really artful nude shots of her in the shower.
Yeah, that was a little
Did
intentional.
you guys pick up on that?
Yes.
I think actually I missed that because I think I went out of the room to get something like for them, like that split second. I came back and Emily was like, "Whatever," or no, because I guess we would have watched this one
Yeah,
separately.
I didn't watch
Yeah,
that
I like walked out of the room like when they started setting up the shower, and I came back and it was like cutting away from that. And I was like, "What happened?"
Yeah, it was like a, confessional of Dara being like, the guys really respected our privacy, and that was really a thing that I respected. It makes me really happy that they're respectful guys. Meanwhile, you've got either a frontal close-up shot of her in the shower, to which the camera guy has to be like feet away from her,
Right.
with the camera right up in her face as she is, taking a shower. And then what was really impressive to me was a shot from behind, the cameraman artfully using the basket of shower supplies to cover up her bum, so that there weren't actually any blurs, but you also didn't see anything. It was really artistic.
I was actually just thinking about how she was like talking about how respectful everybody was. Meanwhile, the camera guys were not.
Right. That was my biggest moment from this episode. What about you guys?
Well, I think they used that. So in the next episode, they used that in the recap. And I was like, wow, you were really proud of that, weren't you? Like, you just keep using that shot.
It was
That was a good shot. Wow.
I think one of my top moments for the episode was watching Morgan move their hut, and you got these really great shots of Rupert sitting down and looking incredibly frustrated while everyone argued about the best way and method to move the hut. I just loved watching Rupert, his line was something like, these guys spend so much energy figuring out how to not do anything.
Yeah, I wrote this one down. They work very hard at not working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was
It was good.
That was a great line. And it just gave you a lot of insight into Morgan is the only one that voted for a leader. And they're so disorganized.
Yeah.
Was this the episode with Balboa the snake?
Our introduction to
Balboa
Balboa.
does make his first appearance in this episode.
I think
yeah.
that's my big takeaway from this episode.
That's reasonable. Balboa the snake was a great storyline, a great Survivor storyline.
He will be missed.
It played into who Rupert is. He's just really caring and genuine.
For sure.
And yeah, it was cute. But that made me
Finds
remember.
weird snakes.
Yeah. That made me remember, and I'm going off on a tangent here, but Michelle, was she the one who was supposed to be really, fine with eating these nasty smoothies?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and she sucked at. She's like, yeah, I'll just act really grossed out. And then she just chugged it. I was like, what was your thought
actively
process?
enjoys the smoothie.
Yes. Yeah, and her team was like, what the heck? And
Yeah, you saw Johnny Fairplay die a little inside as he watched.
yeah. So,
Right.
yeah, disappointed in her.
It was also freaking nuts the way that she just downs that thing.
Yeah.
It's like, goodness.
Yeah, it took very little effort
Yeah.
for her. She just went for it.
It's like every morning she makes herself a bleeding clam and razor clam
Ew.
smoothie and just downs it.
Can we talk about it was in the challenge was one of the things called Jeff's special or something?
Yeah, it was.
That's so creepy.
I'd like one Jeff special. Are you loaded?
Not yet.
In a sexual way.
I think I can cry.
Yeah.
That challenge was it wasn't very hard for many people, for really anyone. Like I think Sandra was
Right.
she struggled the most, and she didn't even struggle that much the first time around. It was just like the second time that really made it hard.
Yeah. This challenge was really annoying for me. Like, I don't know if they even tested the challenges back then, because the first part was just like, you just have to finish it. And if you finish it, then you get a point. And then everyone finished it.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, now we'll do this one to see who wins, who does it the first, or does it the fastest. It's like, why would you not just do that from the beginning and give a point to who does it the fastest?
Well, and
Because the whole, like, first, 90% of it was just meaningless, you know?
Yeah. They
But-
just had to drink nasty smoothies for no reason.
yeah, and was that the immunity challenge, or
That was immunity.
It was,
yeah.
yeah.
what was? Yeah, that was silly.
Yeah.
I agree. I will say, last episode, I just remembered this. When they were showing like actual footage of like how to play the like checkers game thing, at one point you actually see Andrew moving across one of the planks, which is like I think the
Really?
only time I've ever seen a preview of a game that actually showed the actual competitor. Yeah.
Also in the immunity challenge, what really stuck out to me was that one of the options was seawater. Isn't that like terribly unhealthy?
Yeah.
Especially it's gonna dehydrate you quicker.
Right.
And I don't understand why they would include that as an option
Yeah, that was dumb.
for
Yeah, that seems,
people
like,
who are
irresponsible.
surviving on a desert island.
Hopefully you just
Right.
had a splash.
I'm wondering if, since this is 2003, if that's like a part of like some big diet fad.
Oh. Yeah, I've been drinking nothing but seawater.
Making me puke my guts out. It's great.
Yeah, and then we got that we got Rupert talking to Michelle afterwards, and she's just like puking behind the log.
Yeah.
And Rupert's
I know,
just
I
there
loved
like,
that.
I'm sorry. Like,
So, yeah, and even before he like consoles her, she's like puking, and he's just like, "So, what do you think about voting out Shaw?"
Yeah, he's just being strategic. She's just puking.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
yeah, that was such
Some funny moments this episode.
such an awkward scene.
It is.
But Alex, you said they don't really
So-
do those kind of challenges anymore?
The eating ones,
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an old school Survivor thing.
It's probably because of that other show that was on that was very popular.
X Factor.
Fear Factor.
X Factor?
Fear Factor.
Fear
I was
Factor,
like, what?
yeah.
We should do a Fear Factor podcast.
Oh,
We don't even know what it's
thank
called.
you. Yes.
X Factor is a talent search show.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of just like a reality TV show staple that they've kind of done away with,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I am glad.
I don't think there's a good way to really do it. Like you can make it so it's like first one to finish gets a point, but like it's not very interesting to the viewer to just
Yeah.
watch them eat gross things like that.
I feel
Although
like
I mean,
Right.
Rhett and Link have a very successful career.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Just doing that. So
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
in general, I feel like the eat the gross food thing was cool. Like early 2000s, like the first couple times, it was like, oh, here they go, they're gonna do it, and then it kind of lost
Yeah.
its luster, I guess, after.
yeah,
two
I mean,
seasons.
let's all do a throwback to Nickelodeon Slime.
Oh,
Same time period.
Yes.
Gross things were
You're right.
were cool, I guess.
Yeah, that early 2000s gross phase, So going back to Rupert's interactions with Morgan, his helping them move the shelter, catching fish for them.
they didn't know how to use the spear, like the spear sling.
Yeah, they thought you had to throw it at
I
stuff.
like for real. What did they think it was for? Sorry, that was so stupid.
What did you guys? No, that's fine. Yeah, What did you guys think about the way that he interacted with them? Was he like being too nice, helping him out too much, or was that a good play?
I don't know. I think because it's such an early season, I think it's probably fine. At the same time, he helped make a team stronger. It's also for him though. Like he was like, I was starving, I was, whatever. So I don't know. I feel like given the time period, it doesn't really do anything in like the grand scheme of Survivor. But like if this was a later season, like that would have been a big no-no.
Why?
Because he helped the other team. Like that comes back. Like, when the merger comes and Andrew's like, oh yeah, I remember that time you taught us how to fish. I remember that time you helped make us stronger. Especially now that they lost another immunity challenge. Like that's, I know, it just sows like deceit and, yeah, he's with us. He's not with you.
But it does so like trust though with that other tribe.
Right.
Like if you're banking on having to work with them in the future, you're setting yourself up to do that more, have a better shot at that than if you showed up there and he was just like, yep, screw you guys. I'm not helping,
Yeah, we also saw that Rupert really liked Rhino.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rhino was showing out for Team Scott. I was very proud of him.
This was a good Rhino episode. I like him
I
too.
was like,
Yeah.
I think he was like my fourth pick, but he's so far, I'm feeling the best about him right now.
He was actually your second pick,
crap,
Scott.
I forget. Okay, cool. He was my second pick. I feel even better about him now.
He was because you picked him and that was going to be my second pick, but you took him early.
Ooh, whoops. Ooh, sorry.
So I think I went with like Sandra or somebody.
You know what? I can get loud too.
Perfect.
That's right. Where's Rhino's sound bites?
Yeah.
He doesn't have any. That's the unfortunate part.
Exactly.
Low-key strong player.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was around at this point too. I made the note that like this is really just the Rupert story at this point.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
it is.
everything we're getting, even if it's not about Rupert, it like relates to Rupert, and the stuff with Rupert is like he is the protagonist, and the other stuff is just how people like relate to him.
He is so
He's
far
just running
away.
the game.
Yeah, he's like far and away the best player in this game right now. Like I can't think second place is like far back to Rupert right now.
Yeah, as far as like story visibility for
Well,
sure.
yeah, definitely in that way.
Yeah. Because
He is
I was just gonna say he like story visibility. We see him a lot, and everyone likes him.
I was going to say, he's so likable because he's just working really hard and he's nice to people and he's innocent.
He's
just funny.
Yeah, he also seems pretty loyal to the people he's in an alliance with, but beyond that, he doesn't do much strategizing. Like Sandra in this episode is worried about him giving away too much or talking too much or whatever to Morgan.
He doesn't do that. Really?
And we don't see that.
Yeah, they didn't really talk about that too much. That was something I noticed.
You do start to see and hear people saying, though, like even this early on saying, dude, Rupert's going to win this whole thing. So he's like so visibly, doing so well that he's building himself up as a big threat,
Right.
Yeah, he's the biggest physical threat in the game right now. I think as far as if you had to put, 16 people on an island and say survive, he's kicking butt at that. Minus the other stuff.
He's like built for these tribal reward like challenges too. The ones where it's less like endurance and more like quick feats of strength and this sort of thing. It's like the reward that he was on for this episode with Morgan. They just ran the table and it was almost entirely because they had Rupert.
Yeah, it also
it was
didn't
like super striking.
It also didn't help
ahead.
that they had John on the rudder and he had no idea what he was doing.
Right.
Oh my gosh, that was
Yeah,
just
he was paddling
a
with it.
catastrophe. Because they were just
It was
because he
rough.
was like at one point the Drake boat was completely off the course and Jeff, of course, being in his very like straightforward way was Drake completely
Yeah.
off the course. Like Drake,
Yeah,
might
it's
as
a
well
really
swim
smart
to
aleck
shore.
Jeff challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was so bad.
And John was
Yep.
like, at one point, Jeff was like, John using the rudder like a paddle. And I feel like he was trying to help John understand how to use the rudder.
Yeah.
But he was like, yeah, John had no idea what he was doing back there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it was striking to me how just the swap of that one person being Rupert, like, so totally shifted the, like, tribal advantage, you know? It was like Morgan was clearly stronger, and the only thing that changed was they, you know, swapped that one person.
Yeah. I really want to know how that challenge goes if Rupert is on Drake's tribe. Because
Right. They probably win.
there wasn't a lot that like really like that was the only difference, but like why was John on the rudder? If John wasn't on the rudder, I feel like it would have been fairly close because we're talking about diving down and getting something. I feel like you got a few people on
Yeah.
each tribe that can do that. Running through the jungle, that's not going to be Rupert's jam either. Like there's nothing about this challenge that's like innately, yeah, this is Rupert's thing. Like this is what he was made for. It's just for whatever reason, like putting him on the tribe made it better. Like
Well, and they're also coming off of their first win.
yeah, they're
And
coming
Rupert
off.
gave
One.
them fish, and like they're probably on cloud 9.
Yeah,
For sure.
maybe it really is just morale. I feel like with Rupert,
And then we
they
would
can
have
win.
lived in a world. Yeah. And then we would live in a world where we would get artistic Michelle nudes rather than Dara nudes. Which, again, very good shots.
In a sexual way.
I had to.
I'm glad everyone was so respectful of her while she was showering. Then
Oh my gosh.
In a sexual way.
What was your thought, again, because this is like the most Rupert-heavy episode of a Rupert-heavy season, when Savage came to loot them and Rupert was like, here's our rice. Is that enough? You want more rice? Can I give you more rice? You know? Mm-hmm. What was your take on all that?
I had a nice little feel good moment there. I'm like, man, good to see him like kind of forming a bond there. Savage seems like a good dude, and I feel like he's definitely playing hard, and it's good to see, you know, Rupert kind of help him out a little bit.
Yeah.
he was
Falls
also
back into that same category of like, is Rupert doing too much for the other tribe? You know?
I think it was
Hard to say.
the thing about it was Andrew could have taken all of their rice, or at least that whole bucket. That
I guess that's true.
and so
Yeah.
what it was Rupert was like, well, I don't want you to take all of our rice, but I understand you need rice, so let me give you some of ours. Is this enough? Can I give you
Sure.
more? And so it almost from that perspective, from just like a diplomatic perspective, it's Rupert going, how can I keep as much rice for myself and my tribe while also satisfying Andrew's need for rice? So it was a really good diplomatic play that could also look like Rupert's on really friendly terms with Andrew to his tribe,
Right.
which is what's really problematic with it.
Shortly after that, he finds the water snake, names it Balboa,
Great name.
says something along the lines of like, we need to bandage it up or something. Like, how do you bandage a snake?
Especially a Survivor. Like, what are you going to use?
Right?
Yeah.
They have a sewing kit, I guess.
Just make him a
but
little snake skirt.
That would have been awesome.
it matches his directly.
Yeah. Same blue bow on it.
Little drawstring.
Makes him a little like Rupert Beard, like a tie-dye tank top.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
Yeah, I saw this snake in the water, and my thought was,
I didn't know they made such an animal.
Yeah.
Gooch.
I want to tell you, I have used that in my normal life too many times since I've watched that show.
good. Yeah, that is like just the epitome of Rupert.
Yeah.
No spoilers for the next episode of The Fate of Balboa.
I'm not talking about
I'll
it.
just say. He has a great arc. So we talked a lot about the immunity challenge. Is there anything else that we need to go over for that?
I don't think there's anything we need to go over for the immunity challenge itself. It was a very interesting tribal council, though.
It was, yeah.
Because we get
Before we go there, I have like one other.
Oh no, go for it then.
Immunity
Go for it then.
Note. I was really enamored with the salsa music montage of everybody drinking really disgusting seafood smoothies. Did you notice that? Like, just of the back to back of everybody downing these things. It's just like this upbeat.
The moment the editors realized that they couldn't make this interesting for longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah. So they splashed some salsa music behind it and montaged it together.
Yeah.
It was a bizarre choice.
Especially on Survivor, it's like so like tribal and whoa.
Yeah.
That was my Survivor impersonation.
That was good.
It was really good.
I thought my thought was you're in like the Pearl Islands, like you could have gotten some like calypso music or something, like, but they went pretty salsa with it, and it wasn't.
Or like,
I think
Indeed they did.
It didn't quite line up culturally, and I know it's 2003, but
yeah, 2003 they could have dropped some like 50 Cent or Chiggy or whatever, whoever was big at the time. Was he big at the time?
was Chingy big in 2003?
He's like came to mind. I don't know. I had to bring in a rapper reference for this episode.
You can bring some Nas or some Mos Def.
I also I was bummed that Michelle didn't play the thing up, because could you imagine how like dope it would have been if Michelle like struggles through that and they're like, oh, Michelle, she can't even do it. Ha! Now we're totally gonna win. We pick Michelle. And then she just freaking like hustles them and chugs the winning milkshake and is just like, screw you guys.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome.
That would have been so cool. But she didn't play it all
Darn it,
right.
Michelle.
I was gonna be really happy. I wanted points on our draft for that, but she couldn't even.
She's a bad
Deliver.
actress.
I know.
5 points for Michelle being a good actress that no one will ever earn.
We also see another thing. I guess I'll bring up now that I remember it. We also see Jeff's complete disdain for John in this one, where John does his like 2-finger peace thing and he crosses himself, and Jeff's like, what is that? And John's like, that's me, that's Johnny, that's fair play, and whatever. It says complete nonsense.
It's
and
the
Jeff's
F
just
and
like
the Y, and I'm everything in between.
yeah. And Jeff's just like, all right, we're moving on from that.
yeah, that's stupid. Sandra's actually worried that she's going to go home since she
blew the challenge.
didn't perform well in the challenge there at the end. But it turns out she's not really even on the chopping block. It's pretty much between Sean and Michelle. What did you guys? Yeah, I asked Emily this earlier, but what did you guys think going into Tribal on who that was going to be?
I was very nervous, personally, because I'm
For Sean?
coming off last week. I lost Burton. I'm like, man, if I lose Sean too, I'm donezo. I might already be donezo, but I'd really be donezo if that was the case. Also, because we're seeing that Sean is not a very good or he's not necessarily the best tribe mate, I guess. So I was a little bit nervous.
Well, coming off of last week, I don't know. He just seems like such a follower. He's not like really his own person.
Oh, yeah, because after the last tribal council, when Burton was gone, wasn't he like, oh, yeah, Burton was the worst.
Yeah.
I never liked him. Yeah, right, Sean.
Yeah, he spends the first part of this episode talking about how he found Burton annoying.
Yeah.
And
it's like, no, you didn't.
And John is like, yeah, he wrote down Burton too. It was just like, he has no spine.
Oh, yeah. I did find it interesting how at the beginning of the episode, John was like, yeah, I went up to Sean and I was like, hey, man, Burton's gone. And then, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it goes back to I guess it was a smart play for Sean in that moment in time, but he's definitely brings up the question, is he playing his own game or is he just following everybody else?
Right.
Yeah. Well, and once you realize that you don't have the majority alliance and you're in pure survival mode, you're just, you just got to go along with whatever you can to stay in the game. So,
and that was actually a good move for
Right.
John because then he's got Sean in his trust. Does that make sense? Is that a sentence?
alliance.
Yeah, like he's
Indebted to him.
He's let Sean know the plan so that he won't be kind of ousted like Michelle was.
Sean owes his life to John.
Right, because pirates.
Sean?
A life debt.
It's pirates.
It is the correct move, if you're Sean in that case, to recognize, even if your ally is going to be voted out, you do not have the numbers. It's the right move to just go along with that vote and put the vote on that person too, so that you don't cast yourself as also being on the bottom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, no,
Yeah,
look,
we see
I'm
it
with
all
you
the
guys.
time in Big Brother.
Whether or not that always works.
Where
Yeah. Hey, this is a Big
Okay.
Brother free podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get that crap out
Get the
of here.
crap out of here.
another podcast.
No, I
or
don't
another day.
After they went celebrity on us.
So Michelle gets sent home. You think that was a good call for the Drake tribe?
No.
Clearly biased.
Clearly. Who's paying you? I don't know. This tribe is so hard to be like, yeah, that's a good person to send home, because I despise John, and he thinks he has so much control in this game, but he doesn't. He's just lucky that he's going along with what everybody wants right now, or what the majority wants. Getting rid of Sean would have been stupid because he's a strong player, and even if he doesn't do much around camp, he's strong in challenges. That leaves you with what? Sandra and Trish and Krista? Is that everyone else on that tribe? I mean, and
Yeah.
they're all in an alliance with Rupert. So I mean, Michelle's really your only option, unless you're really going to shake things up. So
I mean, the whole thing for me seemed just kind of random. It's like, yeah, she did a bad job of faking it in the competition, but did it? That's, I don't know. Did she really do anything before that to really make you say, she's got to go, bruh? Or I don't know. It's
like a
probably
safe
is.
vote.
She's not the,
she's probably not going to do a whole lot to
yeah,
fight
she's
it,
not probably the
and-
strongest player anyway,
Yeah.
but it's just like, come on.
Right. Yeah, pretty safe vote.
yeah,
So let's tally up the scores for our fantasy survivor. How about that? What? What happened?
I'm sorry.
What happened?
Okay, so I think I think a mouse lives. I have a piano in my apartment, and that's where I keep my computer on because the piano doesn't actually work. And I think there's a mouse that's living in it that I'm trying to deal with. And so it made some scratchy noises, and Emily was like, "Did you hear that?" And I was like, "It's whatever." But then I farted really loud. And Emily jumped because he thought it had something to do with the mouse.
That you farted?
I just ripped the earbud out of my ear and just shed 2 tears. Oh my gosh.
I don't know what to do with any of this.
Leave it in, cut it out. It's up to
We'll
you,
decide in
man.
post.
Yeah, we'll see.
Decide
Play
about
by
it in
ear.
post.
Oh my gosh.
She jumped so high. It was like
I can't breathe. I'm laughing so hard. Oh, okay.
you're crying.
Pretty spooky.
Okay.
Great.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So let's check in on our scores after episode 5. Again, really the only way you could score points this episode were if you voted correctly, if you won tribal immunity, and if you were still in the game at the end of the episode.
I would also like to make an argument that someone definitely named the episode.
What was the episode
Yeah,
name?
what was it?
Everyone's Hero?
Everyone's hero. Who's everyone's hero?
That's true.
Rupert, but he didn't. It's not a quote.
What was it last week?
This
Did
is
we
the
talk
thing-
about it last week?
No, because it's not a thing in this season,
It's
unfortunately.
like
I don't know
when someone
what-
says something that names the episode. That's what it is.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, in
I'm
the
just being pedantic.
most recent seasons, I thought it was an always thing. But the season or the episode titles are usually quotes from the episode. And you would get a point for the person who says the quote that is the title of the episode.
Yeah.
But for this season, they're not, which is a bummer because that's really fun.
There's some great quotes in this too.
There are.
Episode
Like, you
1
could've-
could have been in a sexual way. Would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Everyone would have been like, what?
Ratings would have been crazy high.
I can get loud too. What the expletives?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Hark.
not meant to be. So for this episode, both Emily and Scott accrued 3 new points. Every person you had each survived, except, well, for Michelle
Yeah.
in Emily's
I was
case.
going to say, Emily lost
And-
Michelle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also voted correctly. No one except for Michelle voted incorrectly because it was 6-1. And Adam got 4 more points because everybody either won the challenge or voted correctly and also survived. So that gets our totals
That's
after
like
this
crushed a
episode.
lot.
Scott, you've got 6 points. Emily 6.5, and Adam with 7.5.
Taking a tidy lead here.
A 1-point lead.
1 point.
That's right.
Yeah. And, really, like, no one on my tribe has. I mean, Sandra had, like, the tiniest scare, but, like, come on. No one on my tribe's going home. It's perfect.
So that's where we stand. Next time on Outwatch, we will be watching and reacting to episode 6, Me and My Snake, which is just such a good title. Did you realize that was the name of the
Yeah,
episode?
I didn't really think about
Me and
that.
My Snake.
Oh, this is such an
In my
adult
notes,
season.
I wrote out. I know. I wrote out LOL after the episode.
Lol. Nice.
You can only guess who that's about. And in the meantime, you should make sure to subscribe to our podcast feed, whether that is on iTunes or Spotify. You'll want to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes and so that you can catch up with our Survivor Ghost Island recaps as well. Follow us on Twitter at Outwatch Podcast. And yeah, we love those 5-star reviews. So any of that you can do for us would be just so kind of you. And I would really, really deeply appreciate that.
In a sexual way.
Hey, Alex.
And we'll see you next time.
Do we have any corporate sponsors to shout out real quick? Oh, okay.
We don't.
That's all.
I can say that
Yes.
Equal
Were you gonna
Line
make a joke?
daily moisturizing lotion's pretty wonderful. Keeps my my skin from cracking.
Okay.
Well, that's important.
Adam's credit card's right here. I can read out the numbers.
Read out the numbers for us.
Great. All right. See you next time.
The tribe has spoken.